Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Liaquat. Welcome to this video, guys. 40 hadith of Mulla Ali Qari. Ramadan is over. This is the last hadith of Ramadan, and then we've got 10 hadith left, but that will be after Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the author of this collection and bless all the narrators who are involved in transmitting the hadith, and send salutations on the blessed Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Okay. وعن أوس بن أبي أوس الثقفي مرفوعا قراءة الرجل القرآن في غير المصحف 1000 درجة وقراءته في المصحف تضاعف على ذلك إلى 2000 درجة. رواه الطبراني والبيهقي. أوس بن أبي أوس الثقفي رضي الله عنه relates a marfu' hadith: a man's recital of the Quran from memory is 1000 degrees. His recital from a copy of the Quran is doubled to 2000 degrees. Related by Tabarani. Right, so this hadith is again an interesting hadith, and it also kind of like fits in with what we were saying last time as well. If you remember about the hadith of the different types of rewards, different degrees of rewards, different levels. So this hadith says this. So Aus is a Sahabi, companion of the Prophet ﷺ, and he is saying this hadith. What is he saying? He's saying that a person who reads the Quran from memory, this person's reward is 1000 levels. 1000. Whatever that means. Whatever, we're going to look at that. And however, him reciting the Quran from the Mus'haf, so reads from the Mus'haf. Mus'haf simply means a copy of the Quran. He gets double. 2000. So, in other words, now, obviously 2000 is more. So, in other words, if there's a guy who is sitting there and he has a Quran open in front of him and he's reading, this guy gets 2000, and there's a guy who is just from memory reading the Quran, he gets 1000. So the question now obviously comes to mind is, why is there this difference in this reward, right? So, why would there be more reward in reading from a Mus'haf and not from? So, before I explain this, let me explain something to you. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, most people would actually read the Quran from memory. Right, so most people would read the Quran from memory, and there were people who would read it from, material that it was written on. So they didn't have like a Quran that was compiled like this. They didn't have it like in a full. What they had was memorization of the Quran and lots of parchments and pieces that were Quran was written on. So that's the first thing that we have to understand. That in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, a lot of people would, because they had very good memories. Right, the people had at that time, but they would also recite it from materials as well. And the second thing also is again, we have to understand that when the Prophet ﷺ would speak to people, what were the two things? Anyone remember? He would look at the who, and he would also look at when. Right? So who and when are key, very important points to understand these types of hadith. So keeping that in mind, the theme of the hadith, it fits in. And the reason I'm saying the theme of the hadith fits in is because this hadith, there are many scholars who have actually said that this hadith is a weak hadith, but there's a little rule here of the scholars, and I'll tell you this rule. If you guys have studied usul hadith, you guys might know this, and hopefully inshallah we'll be doing a course on usul hadith. So the rule of the hadith of a weak hadith is this, is that if the hadith is slightly weak, its meaning can be used. If it's supported. So as long as there's support for a slightly weak hadith, you're allowed to take that hadith, as in you're allowed to narrate that hadith, and this hadith conforms with that. So how is this, the meaning of this hadith, supported? So this is supported because we find that many people later on, many of the companions, they actually used to read from some copies of the Quran, right? They will read from copies of the Quran. And we also know that when a person recites the Quran from a copy, they have more time to ponder over its meaning, ponder and reflect. They can ponder and reflect. So if you're kind of like have a Quran in front of you, like say I have a Quran here, and I'm kind of reading it, the brain has more time to kind of think about the words, look at the connections. But when a person is reading it from memory, he has there's less ponder. Okay, generally this is. But, I'm going to say but here. But the scholars have said that if a person finds that by reading it through memory, it has more of a reflection. Like for example, you're reading in Salat, you don't read from a copy, do you? So reading it in prayer, that would obviously gain more reward, clearly. Yeah, so there'd be more reward for that. And then reading from a copy might be less reward. So this is why reading it from your memory sometimes is better, and sometimes reading it from a copy of the Quran is better. And like I said, it all depends upon who, and it all depends upon when the Prophet ﷺ would say these types of hadith. Right? So we all look at ourselves, when do we benefit most from the Quran? Do I benefit most from the Quran when I'm reading those surahs I know by heart through memory? Does that bring me closer to Allah? Does that make me, get kind of like intimate with the Quran more? Or does it happen when I read from a copy of the Quran? Right? So you read from a copy, and then, you get this kind of like feeling of getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so forth. So anyway, Jazakumullah khair. I hope this hadith was beneficial. One thing I just want to mention, in this hadith, it says the word marfu. Marfu simply is a hadith which the companion or someone are attributing it to the Prophet ﷺ. So marfu, it means it's raised, as in it's raised to the Prophet ﷺ. Right? So sometimes a companion will say this. They won't say the Prophet ﷺ's name, but they'll say this hadith is marfu. Right? It means it's attributed to the Prophet ﷺ. Jazakumullah khair, and I will see you guys after Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you. May Allah put barakah in your time and in your efforts, and throughout the year, inshallah ta'ala. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed. I would say hit the bell button and check out the other videos that we have. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair for watching this video. I hope to see all of you guys. If you guys are interested, please leave us feedback, get in contact with us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair, guys, for all of your support. Without your support, I wouldn't have been able to produce the videos that I've put up on my YouTube channel. And there is so much more that I really want to do. And without the support of you guys who are patrons, generously supporting this channel, I've been able to get myself a camera, which, as you guys can see, the quality of this camera, mic system, software. I've been able to hire an editor. So what do I want to do? I want to make lots and lots and lots of more videos for beginners, for intermediate, advanced, in the subjects like Arabic and fiqh and hadith and tafsir and aqidah and all those other things as well. And for this to happen, again, this channel needs support. So if you guys want to become patrons and support this channel, then check out the link below. Also, if you do become patrons, you'll have access to videos that I don't put up on my normal YouTube channel. So check that out, inshallah. And there's most other perks as well that you guys can benefit from. And if you want to access this channel through social media, we've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, Facebook page, and other things as well that you can visit. So Jazakumullah khair again, guys. Thank you very much for your support. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.